Hi guys, and welcome to another episode of Kabir Considers. In this video we're going to react to Why Does America Feel So Bonkers? So this is from Lawrence of Lossenden Pond, Brit, who's been in America for quite some time. I think it's over 10 years at this point. And I'm guessing he's going to describe like certain things that happen in America that are quite unique. For example, one thing is like the political sort of like the presidential election cycle is a lot longer. Like here, it's like, maybe a few months, really. Like that's when they really, start campaigning and stuff like that. Whereas in America, it really starts a long time ahead, like a year, maybe even more. And there's other things as well, like smaller things too. And I'm quite eager to hear what Lawrence thinks. I mean, he clearly loves America. That's why he lives there. I enjoy going to America every time I get the chance to. So yeah, let's see what he has to say.
This month marks my 16th year living in the United States.
16
In just that span
years.
of time, I've seen considerable change, from major political upheaval to the nationwide acceptance of social media and briefly fidget spinners. In fact, often most evident on social media is the fact that America, the land of opportunity, is also the land of extremes. Extreme beliefs, extreme accomplishments, extreme weather, extreme wealth, extreme poverty, extreme wildlife, extreme fame, extreme terrain, extremists, and extreme mists. In other words, during my long-held fascination with the United States, it has always struck me as a country with an eye for the dramatic. As you may have guessed from that brief list just now, this is not always a criticism. In fact, as an 8-year-old boy who dreamed of becoming a Goonie, I believed that drama suited America just fine. I also thought America might suit me just fine, especially given my A-level in theatre studies. But after moving to the United States, I quickly learned that not all of America's dramatic qualities lie in the coastal town of Astoria. It was quite literally in the air. During that first December, my nostril hairs froze in the wake of winter. It was unlike any cold I'd ever experienced.
Man, I really want to experience a proper cold American sort of winter. I know people, like some of you are going to be thinking, Kabir, you don't want to do that. But how much colder can it really be? Like here it gets pretty cold. Like I've said this before, but I've been out in -9 Celsius. I cannot imagine how much colder you could, like how colder can it get than that?
Soon after, I invested in a face mask and a nasal trimmer. I imagined it couldn't get any colder, and then, in January 2019, it did. A polar vortex reducing the Chicago winter chill to -50 degrees Fahrenheit. So that's that. Anyway, time to go and check
But what's that in Celsius?
on that water, I think. There we go. What's that in Celsius, Lawrence? Easy. -45 degrees, or 18 degrees colder than the coldest temperature ever recorded.
-43? No, wait, hold on.
Degrees, or... Lawrence. Easy. -45 degrees, or 18 degrees colder than the coldest temperature ever recorded in Britain. On top of that, last year I experienced a thunderstorm, a giant hailstorm, and a tornado warning, all in the space of about 4 minutes.
-43. That's insane.
Probably go and find out. These things don't happen in the UK. So the question is, can the characteristics of a nation be influenced by something as simple as the weather? In some ways, I would say yes. But America's propensity for being a little extra surely isn't the result of one thing, but a perfect storm of many things. When a country has almost 350 million people, it's inevitable that disagreements will arise. And I can't help but feel that this is particularly true in a country where the two most popular news networks are known for their bias to opposing ideologies. Thankfully for me, no such memo is lost in the pond thanks to today's sponsor, Ground News. Ground News is a news aggregator that compares
very slick
from, the agendas of UK tabloids. So, as the latest season of America premieres soon, I highly recommend using Ground News' US politics page to cut through political bias and arrive at your own conclusions. Head to ground.news/lost or scan my QR code to save 50% on the same limited access Vantage plan that I use. And don't miss their biggest sale of the year. The link is in my description below. But back to the polarization of America. If there's one thing that Americans can agree on, it's that Americans can no longer agree on anything. We are at odds with one another over some very weird things. Just the other day, I heard somebody online arguing against the existence of Finland. And this is not just a slam against US education. Goodness knows it gets enough of that. It's an observation that in a country in which you are free to believe whatever you want, people very often will. And while certain American networks thrive on telling viewers what to think, social media seems to reinforce what users already believe. Indeed,
Honestly, guys, I have stopped watching the news. I've not watched the news in maybe 3 weeks, or it's massively reduced. Sometimes it's just on where I'm at, but yeah, I've stopped deliberately watching the news. And guys, I'm telling you, I feel so much better mentally. Like, I've reduced my social media, sort of like, Instagram, TikTok stuff as well. I'm telling you guys, it really does a lot for your mental sanity. Like, because these networks, they rile you up so much.
I moved here at the dawn of the social media age. As platforms became increasingly powered by algorithms, we Americans, like most of the world, came to devour what merely confirmed our bias. And in a country whose First Amendment lends itself strongly to difference of opinion, social media achieved something the printing press never could, keeping the nation polarized on a minute-by-minute basis. I can't help but feel that this is powered in part by the absolute monetization of everything everywhere all the time. When people, including myself, are rewarded for high engagement, boundaries will be pushed to the limit in order to eke out those extra dollars. So why not shovel out a good old Finland isn't real post if it results in 20,000 comments?
Heck, you could even argue that this very video, when compared to other Lost in the Pond content, is on the extreme side. So perhaps money is the deciding factor in all of this.
After all, the United States has greater wealth inequality than virtually all of the developed world. Indeed, 8 of the world's top 10 richest people are based in the US, and no, I'm not yet one of them. On the flip side, America's wealth has led to, transformative technological advancement, cinematic entertainment, or, crucially, success at the Olympics. Furthermore, few people...
Guys, what do you think about wealth inequality? Like, seriously, what do you think? Do you think it should just be, whoever can make the most money gets to keep it all? Or do you think there should be a better distribution? Like, if you're worth $1 billion or $10 billion, whatever amount, after that, you're taxed heavily so that some of the money can trickle down into hospitals, public infrastructure like public transport, whatever. What do you guys think? I'm genuinely curious.
Realize that the United States is routinely ranked among the most charitable nations on Earth.
And so yes, since I moved here, American extremity has done anything but return to the wilderness. Much like the actual wilderness. Do you know what you don't have to worry about in England? Animals that will eat you for breakfast.
From memory, the only close call I had was that one time a cow ushered me out of Aunt Deborah's barn. America, on the other hand, has so many deadly species that the suspense films write themselves. Afraid of alligator swamps? Fine. Go live with the rattlesnakes instead. Not your cup of tea? Then why not run off into the woods while smeared in honey? Or reach under the toilet seat in your parents' basement?
And I know what you're thinking. Ooh, Lawrence, these animals are rarely fatal to humans.
To which I say, you're right. In fact, perhaps the most extreme thing about such creatures is our irrational fear of them. Despite what you may have learned from the documentary Jaws, only one American on average dies from a shark attack each year. Fewer die still from black widow bites. The last such recorded fatality in America occurred the same year Thriller came out.
So that leads me to another question.
Yeah, humans probably kill more sharks, way more than the other way around, like on an annual basis.
Have we got it wrong? Is America not quite as extreme as it seems? Well, as somebody who's actively abstained from social media in recent months, I am reminded that there might be some validity to this argument.
Amid all of the Florida Man stories, it's easy to forget that America is filled with people who are just getting on. Once you remove the veil of anonymity afforded by the internet, offline Americans are sometimes even kind, perhaps reluctant to bring up politics, money, or Finland. Because at the end of the day, we're all passengers on the same planet, hurtling around the sun at 67,000 miles per hour. And if you think about it, what could be more extreme than that? So, America's genuine problems notwithstanding, I do think the US sometimes feels more extreme than it is because that makes for fantastic ratings.
Yeah, and I think that's what you kind of see on the internet. And one thing about the internet, so much of it is just fake. Like often on social media like Instagram, TikTok and stuff, what you see doesn't really match what's happening like in real life, if you know what I mean. Like it's just like the vocal people that are on social media. Do you kind of get where I'm...
Then again, those same passengers are also descended from other passengers, ones who came to North America at various points in history. The continent's extremely remote location, flanked either side by 2 vast oceans, is significant. It meant that early settlers to the New World faced hardship before they even got here. Heck, the Mayflower took a grueling 66 days to reach North America, often facing rough seas that could have left it lost in the pond. That was an intentional brand reference for those at the back. Indeed, once they arrived, about half died before before the end of winter, unprepared for the very cold that would stiffen my nostril
His
hairs
face.
400 years later. Nonetheless, those that survived persisted, just as others who came here persisted. For me, this same grit is what put men on the moon, men who would bring back grit from the moon. It's a funny old world. And whether you believe the moon landing was real or you believe it was faked by Stanley Kubrick in a film studio, you have to admit that either sounds completely insane, like, we went to the moon, what?
All I'm saying
Some people think the moon landing didn't happen. Come on, it definitely did.
is, I think extremeness, whether good, bad, or indifferent, might be woven into the fabric of American society, and it began 400 years ago. Actually, more like millions.
Because this is a country of enormous, one might even say extreme, natural wonder. Here, you'll find some of the world's largest rivers, lakes, and rock facades that were somehow formed with the heads of US presidents. Nature truly is amazing. So put down your phones and your computers and go out and
outside.
see America.
Yeah.
But not before sharing this video and feeding the algorithm.
Brilliant video from Lawrence. The production values of, like, compared to when he first started his channel, have just gone so high. And I agree with everything he says. You know, a lot of what we hear on the internet about America, about not even just America, about, you know, everything, you know, a lot of the fighting that we see online just doesn't really reflect, you know, when you meet people out in the world, like in real life, you just don't really see that same level of ferocity, that same level of, like, you know, disagreement and stuff. It feels like on the internet, you find the people that are the most extreme, like the most, you know, passionate or, you know, enthusiastic. You know what I mean? Like, those people, you know, they gravitate towards the internet because, you know, they're anonymous, so they don't, like, they're not, their real life isn't tied to what they say. So yeah, like the point I'm making is that, you know, the internet and real life are so different. Like, don't you think? Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next one.